"She's not a Kroll," my brother said. "She never was." He said it in my father's house, to my father's people. The room went quiet, and nobody argued with him. I was 50 years old, and my own family looked past me like furniture. I had come home to bury my father. I stayed to be erased. To see how I got here, I have to start further back. My name is Adelaide Kroll. I served 22 years in the army. I was a practical nurse, a licensed one if you want the whole title. The family kept a shorter title for it. Bedpans and blood pressure, Lucius liked to say. That's the whole job. He was my half-brother, same father and a different mother. He was younger than me by 9 years. He never once let that fact slow him down. My father raised me. That was never in question, not while he breathed. He taught me to change my own oil and to fold a flag the proper way back in the years when the whole family still agreed, without one argument, that I was his. He called me his girl in front of everyone. He'd say it at church, and again at the feed store. "This is my Adelaide," he'd tell a stranger. "Best of the bunch." I believed him. And why wouldn't I? Then he died in the spring, and the story about me changed. Grief is a strange animal. It makes some people tender and some people hungry. Lucius got hungry. He was the executor, and the will named him, not me. I didn't mind that, and I never wanted the checkbook. Dad trusted me with the estate, he told the family. That says something. It says he trusted you with paperwork, I said. It says more than that, he said. I let it go the way I usually do back then. The first crack showed at the house a week after the funeral. The family gathered to sort through his things. Lucius stood in the middle of the living room. "We should settle who's really a Kroll here," he said. The whole room turned to look at me. "I'm his daughter," I said. "You watched me grow up." "You grew up in this house," he said. "Blood is another matter. Ask anyone here," I said. "Ask our aunt." My aunt studied her hands and said nothing. A cousin found a reason to go check the coffin. That silence told me how the whole season would go. Nobody wanted to fight with the man holding the will, so they let his question hang there in the room. And a question left hanging long enough starts to feel like a fact. I should have answered it that day, but I stayed quiet instead. Quiet had always felt like the high road to me. I know better now. What none of them knew was this. My father never left the important things to a temper. He'd settled the one that mattered years before. He'd sealed it away where no argument in that room could reach it. I didn't understand that yet, but I would in time. But within a month, he had plans for the family plot. The Krolls owned 8 spaces at a cemetery outside Des Moines. My father had saved one of them for me. My name was already cut into the waiting stone. I'd seen it once, years back, Adelaide Kroll, and a dash and nothing after. "That space is spoken for," Lucius told the caretaker. "Spoken for by who?" the man asked. "By a real Kroll," Lucius said. "Take her name off." "Off the stone," the caretaker said. "Off everything," Lucius said. "She isn't honest, dear." He said I wasn't blood. He said I'd been taken in, not born in. None of it was true, but he held the paperwork now. It scared me how fast he moved. Grief hadn't slowed him for a single day. He meant to be the only Kroll left standing on that ground. I could have fought him in that cemetery office. I didn't. I'd learned that loud is not the same as strong. That weekend, I drove out to the cemetery alone. The grass was still brown from the long winter. I found our family stones in the back row. My name was there just as I remembered it. Adelaide Kroll cut deep, waiting on a date. A work order was taped across the marker. "Grind and refinish it," said in a stranger's hand. My throat went tight at the sight of it. A groundskeeper came by with a rake. "You family?" he asked. "I'm the name he wants gone," I said. "Sorry, ma'am," he said. "I only do the work." "I know," I said. "It isn't your doing." He paid to have it ground down Monday, he said. Then it'll be done Monday, I said. I drove home before I could watch him start. Some things you don't have to see to believe. My granddaughter Etta was 9 that fall. She heard the grown-ups arguing in the kitchen. She remembered a thing the rest of us had let go. Grandpa took me to the bank once, she said. The big one, downtown. When was that, honey? I asked. Before he got sick, she said. He gave a man an envelope. An envelope, I said. White, with red wax on it, she said. Like a candle spilled. I told her she was mixing up old memories. He said it had to wait, she said. He made me promise not to tell. Promise what? I asked. That I saw it, she said. And she looked scared for having told me, so I let it drop. She'd been little. Memories bend with time, but the picture stayed with me all that night. White paper, red wax. Something in me went quiet and cold. I didn't know yet that it would outlast every argument in that house. I didn't know it was already counting down to a date. 3 weeks after the funeral, the letters started coming. The first one came from the Cemetery Association. Dear Mrs. Ashby, it began. Not Kroll. Ashby. My late husband's name. My husband had been gone 6 years before. Lucius had handed them that name on purpose. You married out, he told me later. You're an Ashby now. I was born a Kroll, I said. You were kept by one, he said. That's a different thing. My stomach dropped because he'd been practicing that line. Dad never once said kept, I told him. Dad's not here to say anything, he said. That was true, and Lucius had learned to use it. Then, the reunion program arrived in the mail. 50 years since our parents married, and the family marked it every 10. They held it at the VFW hall in our town. Lucius was running this one, so he controlled the printing. The program laid out the family tree, every branch and every name. My branch was gone, and my father's line stopped at Lucius. There wasn't room on the page, he said when I called. You gave the old dog a line, I said. He didn't miss a beat. The dog was a Kroll. I understood him then. It wasn't grief. It was arithmetic. A dull anger settled low in my chest. He wanted to be the only heir on the deed, the only Kroll name printed in the program, the last one standing on that plot, with nobody left to share the ground. Why does it matter so much? I asked him. Because a name is worth something, he said, and I'm keeping ours. It was mine first, I said. Prove it, he said, and he hung up. Etta found the program on my kitchen table that weekend. Where's your name, Grandma? She asked. It got left off, I said. That's a lie, though, she said. You're right there in the pictures. I know, baby, I said. So why did he lie? She asked. I didn't have a clean answer for a child. Children say it plain while grown people negotiate with it. I told myself a program was only paper, but it stung more than I wanted it to. There was a folded flag from my father's service. It had sat on his mantle my whole life. I asked Lucius if I could keep it. That flag stays with the estate, he said. It's a flag, Lucius, not a bank account, I said. Everything's the estate right now, he said. All of it. He'd have wanted me to have it. I said. He's not here to want anything, he said. That line again. And he used it like a key. I let the flag go, but I didn't let the rest go. A folded flag is cloth, but a name is something else. In nursing, you learn to check a chart before you touch the patient. I'd quit watching Lucius that closely, and that was my mistake. That week, I started watching him again. A few days later, I heard about the dinner. The family had held a memorial supper for my father. 30 people came that night. Cousins, neighbors, an old pastor. Nobody had told me it was happening. I found out from a photo online. There they all were, around my father's table. His chair sat empty at the head the way it should. But my chair was gone too, folded away somewhere. I called my daughter, and my voice shook. Did you know about the supper? I asked. I thought you were invited, she said. Mom, I swear, I wasn't, I said. I wasn't even an afterthought. That's Uncle Lucius, she said. He runs the guest list now. Hurt turned into something harder that night. Not rage. Rage burns out too fast to be useful. Something steadier. The patience you learn on a long war. I decided I would simply be there when it counted. Wherever my father's hand still reached, I would be in the room. The family took Lucius's side without much fight. That was the part that hurt most. Cousins I'd grown up with started calling me Mrs. Ashby too. Mrs. Ashby, so good of you to come, my aunt said at a supper, like I was a guest. Like I hadn't sat at that table my whole life. It's Adelaide, I said. You held me as a baby. Of course, dear, she said and turned away. Nobody asked what I'd done in uniform. They thought they already knew. They pictured me handing out pills and emptying trays. A practical nurse is bedpans and vitals as far as the family ever cared. I never corrected them. I'd made peace with that a long time ago. You were a nurse, right? A cousin asked. Like a helper nurse? Something like that, I said. That's nice work, he said. Real steady. It kept me busy, I said. I wasn't a hero. I wasn't anything they'd hang on a wall, but I'd held a lot of hands at the last hour. That kind of work leaves a mark on a person. I'd closed the eyes of men their own families would face. I never told the table that, since it wouldn't have fit their picture. Still, Etta's envelope wouldn't leave my mind. So one morning, I drove to the bank my father had used for 40 years. I stood at that counter and asked whether my father had kept a box there for all his years, while the young teller watched me like I was chasing a stranger's secrets. I can't discuss another person's account, she said. He passed in the spring, I said. I'm his daughter. I still can't, she said. I'm sorry. Can you ask someone? I said. She went to the back. A man came out, gray at the temples. I'm the custodian for the vault, he said. Osmond Hendel. He chose his words the way you choose steps on ice. There may be an item, he said. I can't tell you what. An item my father left, I asked. I didn't say that, he said. I can't say that. Can you tell me anything at all? I asked. Some things open on their own, he said. On a date. Not before. My pulse jumped. What date? I'm not allowed to say, he said. The date will say it for me. Who said it? I asked. The man who left it, he said. Nobody can move it up. Not even you? I asked. Especially not me, he said. That's the whole point of a seal. How does a letter know its own day? I asked. The instruction carries the date, he said. We don't set it. We don't open anyone's business early, he said. We keep the seal. So you don't know what's inside, I said. No one living does, he said. That's how he arranged it. And on the day, I asked. On the day a seal stops being a secret, he said. I drove home, knowing less than I wanted and needing more. A small hope had started up in me, and I hated how badly I wanted it. That night I couldn't sleep for thinking about red wax. That night, Etta told me the rest of it. Grandpa said it was for a special day, she said. He told me the bank would know when. Did he say which day? I asked. The big party, she said. The one with all the flags. The reunion. The golden anniversary. The flags at the VFW hall. A chill went through me head to foot. My father had aimed a letter at that one. Are you okay, Grandma? Etta asked. I'm fine, baby, I said. You did good to remember. He'd said it years back, before any of this started. He couldn't have known Lucius would strike my name. Or maybe he'd known his own son better than I had. That thought frightened me more than the fight did. I sat up late that night and thought about my father. He'd been a quiet man, and he planned things far ahead. He had buried 2 wives, and raised children from both. He knew how families fight over what gets left behind. He must have seen Lucius clearly long before I did. I remembered something he'd told me once. Paper outlasts a temper, he'd said. Write the important things down. I'd thought he only meant my nursing charts. Now I understood he'd meant something closer to home. He hadn't left me money. He'd left me proof. 1-page seal, waiting for the day I'd need it most. That was the most like him that anything had ever been. The next morning, I drove back to the bank. Osmond Handel met me at the same low counter. I can't open it early, he said. You understand that? I'm not asking you to, I said. Good, he said. Then we understand each other. On the date, what happens? I asked. It's open where the instruction says, he said. And where is that? I asked. Somewhere among your family, he said. That's all it tells me. You really can't say more? I asked. I really can't, he said. But I'll be there when it's time. He wouldn't give me anything else. And he didn't need to. The day and the place had been chosen long before the fight. That evening, Lucius called, having heard I'd been to the bank. Chasing ghosts now, he said. Just visiting in the hotel, I said. There's nothing there for you, he said. Let it go, Mrs. Ashby. We'll see, I said. You always think you're owed something, he said. I don't want the plot, I said. I want my name. Names are just ink, he said. Then you won't mind losing one, I said. He was quiet for a moment. Then he hung up. I set the phone down and understood the whole shape of it. He wanted the deed. The deed, the program, the plot, the name, all of it under him alone. So that when people said Kroll, they would mean only Lucius and never me. Relief and dread arrived together holding hands. Whatever my father had left, it would come on its own. Nobody could move it up, and nobody could hold it back. The date was 3 weeks out. My daughter came by that week with Etta. She'd heard about the program from a cousin. You don't have to go, Mom, she said. I know, I said. But I'm going anyway. They'll be cruel, she said. You've seen how they get. Let them, I said. I won't hide from my own family. What if nothing happens? She asked. Then nothing happens, I said. I've survived worse than a bad supper. She looked at me the way you look at a stubborn patient. Etta wants to come, she said. She's asked me twice. Then bring her, I said. She should see how it ends. The phone rang that same evening. A cousin on the line, sounding nervous. Lucius asked me to pass along a message, she said. Go ahead, I said. He'd rather you sat near the back, she said. Mrs. Ashby, tell him I'll sit with my granddaughter, I said. He won't like that, she said. He doesn't have to, I said. And I ended the call. The reunion fell on a Saturday in October. The VFW hall smelled of coffee and old wood. Long folding tables ran the length of the room. Someone had hung the flags Etta loved so much. A crooked color guard photo leaned by the door. I wore my good dress navy blue with a plain collar. My husband would have liked it, and I wore it partly for him. No uniform. I hadn't worn mine to a family thing in years. I felt small in that doorway, and I made myself stand tall anyway. Lucius met me there and didn't offer a chair. You can stay for the meal, he said. Then I'd like you gone. I'll stay for all of it, I said. This is a Kroll event, he said. Then I'm in the right room, I said. It isn't your night, Mrs. Ashby, he said. We'll see whose night it is, I said. He didn't care for that, but he let me pass. Inside, the cousins nodded and looked away. An uncle shook my hand like I'd come to sell something. Adelaide, he said. Didn't expect you. I'm family, I said. I go where family goes. Sure, he said, and found somewhere else to be. Another aunt patted my arm on her way past. So brave of you to come, Mrs. Ashby, she said. It's Kroll, I said. But she was already gone. Etta ran up and grabbed my hand. "Sit by me, Grandma," she said. "Where's your mama?" I asked. "Getting pie," she said. "The front's better anyway." So I did, and I let the child lead the way. We took 2 chairs near the head table. Etta swung her feet and watched the flags. The hall was warm with too many bodies and old radiators. Somewhere behind us, a coffee urn hissed and knocked. The flags along the wall stirred each time the door opened. I breathed it in and felt my father in that room. He'd stood under those same colors for 50 years. It steadied me more than any speech from Lucius could have. At supper, a cousin dropped into the seat beside me. "So what did you even do over there?" he asked. "I was a nurse," I said. "Like a desk thing," he said. "Filing in shots." "Something like that," I said. "Steady work," he said. "Nothing crazy, though." "Nothing crazy," I agreed. They'd decided years ago that I filed papers and gave shots. I let them keep the picture since it was easier than the truth. The program ran just as printed, and my name wasn't in it. They called the old branches aloud one by one. My father's name. Then Lucius. Then nothing. They skipped me and stared at his affair. Then Lucius stood and welcomed the family. He'd put on a good suit for it. 50 years, he said. 50 years of one strong name. The tables clapped and he liked the sound of it. "A family is a line," he said. "You're on it or you're not." He talked about legacy, about who carried the name forward. He meant himself. And everyone at the tables understood that. Some people drift through a family, he said. The true line holds. He didn't look at me once. He didn't have to. I felt the old urge to stand and set them all straight, to say what I'd carried, what I'd seen, what I'd earned. I kept my hands folded in my lap instead. If I claimed my own rank, they'd call it bragging. The world I'd lived in had taught me that much. A woman who says she matters gets called difficult. So I let my father's silence be my silence too. I trusted his voice would carry further than mine ever could. Etta leaned close to my ear. "Why is he being mean?" she whispered.
Suspended between two worlds, the
I said.
ibex makes a violent
He's
leap
counting.
across the silent,
Counting what?
bottomless gorge.
She asked. "Us," I said. "He wants to be the last number." "That's dumb," she said. "It is," I agreed. "But he thinks it's his night." Shame heated my face, and I made myself sit still through it. I'd come with no proof, just a dress and a child's hand. For one long minute, I nearly stood to leave. I'm glad now that I stayed in that chair, because the front door of the hall was about to open. The cold came in first. Then a man in a gray coat stepped inside a slim leather case, tucked under one arm, and though the whole room had no idea who he was, my body knew him before my mind could catch up. It was Handel, the custodian from the bank. The tables didn't know him, but I did. My heart began to pound against my ribs. Lucius turned toward the back. "Can I help you? I have a delivery," Handel said. It came due today. The hall went quiet and turned to look. "Due for who?" Lucius asked. "Due for the family," Handel said. "On this one date." "I don't know you," Lucius said. "This is a private event. I'm the vault custodian," Handel said. "I keep sealed things." He walked to the head table and stood beside it. "A man left this with us," he said. "Years ago now." "Which man?" Lucius asked. "Your father," Handel said. The hall went still. Silence. "That's not possible," Lucius said. "He fixed the date himself," Handel said. "This one, the golden anniversary. Anybody could claim that," Lucius said. "How do we know it's real?" "The wax was pressed the day he brought it in," Handel said. "The date sits stamped under the seal," he said. "It hasn't been broken." "I don't work from a ledger," he added. "I only open what comes due." "Open it later then," Lucius said. "Not here." "The instruction names the day and the room," Handel said. "This is both." He lifted the envelope for the tables to see. White paper, red wax, the seal already cracked with age. Then, a small voice spoke up in the quiet. Etta was standing on her chair. "That's the one," she said. "I saw Grandpa give it over." "You saw this?" Handel asked her gentle. "He let me hold it first," she said. "It was heavy for a letter." "He said it had to wait for the flags," she said. My eyes filled. She'd carried that memory for 6 years. "Sit down, Etta," Lucius said. "You don't know what you saw." "I did too," she said. "He made me promise." Handel looked at Lucius, then at the room. "He asked that it be spoken out loud," he said. "So I will." Lucius stepped forward. "Give that to me." "It's addressed to the room," Handel said, "not to one man." The hall had gone so quiet, I could hear the flags going. Etta's small hand found mine under the table. "It's okay, Grandma," she whispered. "I've got you." A child steadying the grown woman beside her. I held on and let my father's words come. He held the page up in the light and began. "Let me put it plainly, while I still can," he said. Adelaide was in the dark. She always was. I held her the hour she was born. I signed her into this family with my own hand. No one at this table may cross that out. He paused. The room didn't breathe. "She is First Sergeant Adelaide Kroll," he went on. "She led soldiers. She sat with the dying. I was proud of her every day of my life. If my name means anything, it means this. Bury her beside me. Print her in the program. She is a Kroll. She always will be." Handel lowered the page. Nobody spoke. Grief and pride rose in me together so fast I couldn't tell them apart. Then Etta said it loud and sure. "See? I told you." Lucius's face had gone white as the paper. "That could be forged," he said. His voice cracked on it. "It's his hand," an old aunt said. "I'd know it anywhere. He signed my marriage license," she said. "That same crooked K." Another cousin leaned in to look. "It's him, no question." The uncle who doubted me got slowly to his feet. "I served too," he said. "I never once asked what you did." "You never asked," I said. "You're asking now." An older cousin started to cry into her napkin. "He loved you best," she said. "We were jealous. That's the ugly truth. I didn't need best," I said. I needed to be counted. A hush moved down the tables. Somewhere near the back, a pair of hands began to clap. Then another pair, and then most of the room. Not for me, exactly. For him. For the man who'd planned it. The words First Sergeant moved through the tables like weather. They'd called me Mrs. Ashby for months. My father, in his own ink, had called me something else. And he'd called it from the grave. Handel folded the letter and left it on the table by me. "It's yours now," he said. "It always was." "Thank you," I said. It was all I could manage. He nodded once and walked back out into the evening. The hall stayed quiet after the door shut. Lucius sat down hard in his folding chair. "He never told me," he said half to himself. "He told you tonight," I said. "Why would he hide it?" Lucius asked. "Why the bank? So no one could argue with him," I said. "Not even you." Lucius stared at the letter on the table. "I spent months telling people you weren't ours," he said. "You did," I said. "They believed me," he said. "That part easy? The truth was always easier," I said. "You just didn't want it." He had no answer for that. For the first time, my brother looked small. Not beaten, just small the way a bully looks when the lights come up. I didn't enjoy it as much as I'd expected to. Mostly I felt tired and a little sorry for him.
The explosive breach.
I wasn't cruel about
Rising
it,
from
and I
the
didn't
golden
need
depths,
to be.
the apex
truth had
predator
already
secures
done
its
the
prey
only
in this
thing that
dramatic,
needed doing.
slow-motion attack.
Relief loosened something I'd been holding in my shoulders for months. People came to me then, one at a time. "I'm sorry, Adelaide," my aunt said. "We should have known." "You did know," I said. It was easier not to. She didn't argue, and there was nothing left to argue. "Mrs. Kroll," a cousin said, trying the name out loud. "Can I get you a plate?" he asked. It was the first time in months anyone had said Kroll to me. "Adelaide is fine," I said. "It always was, First Sergeant, though," the uncle said. "We had no idea. You never asked," I said. "Not unkind, just true." Lucius left before the coffee was poured. He didn't say goodbye, and I didn't chase him to the lot. I didn't take the plot from him, and I didn't take his name. I only took back what had always been mine. It's a strange thing being handed back to yourself. For months, I'd been a guest of my own name. Now the room said Kroll, and meant me. I hadn't changed, only the story around me had. That's the cruel power of a lie. It can move a whole family, and the quiet power of the truth. It only needs one honest page. Then Etta's mother gathered her up to go. "Say goodnight to Grandma," she said. "Goodnight, First Sergeant Grandma," Etta said. And for the first time all day, I laughed. When the tables finally emptied, I stepped into the side room. The long hall behind me had gone dark and still. I stood there, alone,
The spotted
in my
eagle
navy
ray,
dress.
instantly
I held the
recognizable
envelope
by
in
its
both
vivid white
hands.
spots,
The
navigates
broken
the
seal
dramatic
faced
drop-off
up.
with
I
flawless
didn't
precision.
need to look again. I already knew each word. A calm I hadn't felt in years settled over me. Whatever the room had decided, my father had decided first. The question I'd carried for years had finally been answered. 10 years have gone by since that night. Etta is 19 now, and she joined the Guard last spring. She wears the name Kroll on her chest, stitched in gold. She called me the week she left for basic. "Did Great-Grandpa really put my name in a vault?" she asked. "He put mine there," I said. "You put yours on your own." "I want to be a nurse like you," she said. "Then be a good one," I said. "The rest sorts itself out." The envelope stays in a drawer in my kitchen now. I take it out sometimes, on the harder days. I don't open it. I just hold it a while. Etta asked me once what it feels like. "To be put back," she said. "After being erased. Like breathing after you've held it too long," I said. "Did you forgive him?" she asked. "I stopped carrying him," I said. "That's close enough." She thought about that, the way she thinks about everything. "I'm going to remember all of it," she said. "I know you will," I said. "You always have. That's the part that matters most to me now. Not the program. The child who kept the memory. The marker at the cemetery holds my name again cut deep. The next reunion program printed my branch at the top. My daughter keeps a copy of it in a frame. Etta's name sits under mine, under my father's, in a straight line. 3 generations, printed in order the way it should run. Nobody argues about the family tree anymore. There isn't anything left to argue. Lucius signed the paper to fix the stone himself. I never asked him to, but he did it on his own. We never grew close after that, and that was never the point. I didn't win by taking anything from my brother. I won because the truth outlived his version of it. I've thought a long while about what my father did. He couldn't stand up in that room and speak for me. So he left his own hand behind to do it. Being seen for who you truly are outlasts being feared. Sometimes the loudest lie still loses to the quietest proof. And sometimes a father knows his children better than they know themselves. If this story reached you, share it with someone who's felt unseen. If you'd like more stories like this one, I'd be honored if subscribed.